Dave Kurtz is really an amazing guy, like one of a kind. He's a savant of kayaking.
There's many ways to describe him. I guess the phrase I would come up with most frequently would be American whitewater legend.
All right, here we go.
I didn't really get into paddling until I came to Penn State. I was introduced to the community by some people of the Penn State Outing Club. And they mentioned that they were having a paddling trip this weekend. Would I like to go? Sure, I'll go along. And I'm not a very good paddler, but I'll go. So that was my very first weekend in State College at Penn State. And I haven't stopped since.
He's been paddling since the year 1954. He was one of the first people, especially in the East Coast of the United States, who was running whitewater rivers on a frequent basis back in the 1950s.
It's not only fun, but it's a challenge also to be able to maneuver a boat in whitewater situations. And every stroke you take is different. We started Alden Henry when he was 7 years old, and he's been to 4 world events, 2 of them the World Championships for juniors, and 2 of them World Championships for U23 people.
You know, one of the byproducts of him being, so involved in whitewater from that time period was he was one of the first people who helped grow the sport of canoe slalom in the United States. And he was one of the very first people who was on the U.S. national team for slalom going over to compete internationally for us. That's where his story generally begins, and he's been very active in the sport ever since, and still to this day at the age of 90, which is, pardon my French, badass.
So I met Dave Kurtz for the first time. I don't know the exact timing, but I think it's about 5 years ago or so. It was before the pandemic, and we were out in Coburn, PA, not too far here from State College, at something called Crick Fest. And, we're walking down at the shore and, looking out at the rivers, and we see this older gentleman in a kayak. And he asked, "Do you want to try kayaking?" And then before you know it, my sons are enrolled in his, beginner slalom kayaking course, and they completed the course. And, since then, which was about 5 years ago, my sons have been avid kayakers, participating with Dave at Sunnyside. Current day, my older son, who's 17, he kayaks with Dave multiple days a week. And my older son, I think what he's found, even though Dave is 91 years old and my son is 17, my son really has a friend, like a very good friend. I think they enjoy each other's company very much.
He's pretty funny, he's energetic, he's kind of enjoys it. It's nice to be out here and enjoying the time you have, because when you're out here on the water, it's kind of quiet. You're not doing anything else, but you're just focusing on what you need to do on the river wise, and as you keep paddling, you get better and you practice, and you make mistakes, but you can fix those in the long run.
We're on the middle part of the Sunnyside Paddling Park in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. The interesting thing about this area is that people in Bellefonte don't know exists. It's unknown territory for them. It's pretty important that at my age to get lots of exercise. I usually try to come out about 3 times a week and get a workout in, and this enables me to keep my strength. Well, you can tell what it means to me if I've been paddling for 60 years, almost on a daily basis. I needn't say more.
Well, the history of the sport is like all things that have a history. It's almost always forgotten. So it's really critical to try to remember the kind of things and the objects that were around years ago. When I paddled first time in 1963 at the World Championships, I was doing a training run, had an upset. The paddle flew around somewhere and floated down. The T-grip was cut off, and so I paddled the World Championships in '63 with just a half a grip. Do I worry about being forgotten? Well, I don't know. Sure, you have a certain amount of stuff that you're concerned about, but I'm not worried about being forgotten. I'm a non-athlete, even though I've been to 4 World Championships. Still a non-athlete. In grade school, when we'd have recess, and the boys would choose teams for baseball, I was one of the last persons chosen.
You've been paddling for, decades now. What keeps you doing the sport?
It's fun. It's fun.